Yeah. Might be my arrogance, but ain't nobody stopping me. That's how I go when you pay for them shows and you study that pimp.
All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome, Biggity back. We're back once again for another little show here. Been doing the Twitch Dead on Dave Live, and I'm really like doing it here. I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it as well. Hopefully you guys are finding me here. And then, of course, after 24 hours, when I am allowed to, we upload this over to YouTube. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for everybody. Everybody gets a little bit of something here. If you want to see what I'm doing now currently, you can be here each and every single day live for me that I decide to do these shows. But we are here on Twitch doing our gaming streams early in the morning as well. And then we get to take it to YouTube also, which is nice. Well, I'm liking the supporting role of YouTube right now. I'm enjoying putting stuff on there that is there for the sole purpose of just kind of facilitating the growth of this channel, which is nice. It's a new thing, and I'm enjoying doing it. It's kind of rekindling a little bit of my passion, a little bit of my love for this, which is really cool, because it's been a while since I've really been able to find my voice. You know, talking every day on video game stuff is one thing. I always have you guys to distract me, to talk about something else. You know, we don't have to stick with a topic for too long. But having the ability to find topics, you know, and really just forcing myself to talk about those at length again, it's been really therapeutic for me in a whole nother way, and I'm feeling very good about doing it. So I appreciate you guys in that, and I hope that you're enjoying it as well. The first show was in the books. I thought it was very good. Thought it was a good jumping off point. But tonight we take it to another level. We take it up another notch because we got a lot to get into today because there is some stuff happening. There really hasn't been much in the last couple of days. Things have been kind of slow. Didn't really feel a necessary need to go and reiterate most of the stories that we found. But there's big developments in the situation. Good God, with Onision, Hansen, and MrRepzion being dragged back into all this once again in a way that he was clearly not expecting. And I don't think the rest of us were either, to be completely honest. It seemed like very out of nowhere for this to happen. Of course, I'm talking about the lawsuits that I did not think were coming from Onision, at least for Mr. friggin' Repzion. I did not see that happening. Thank you, Deep South Man, for the host. I appreciate you. Wasn't expecting that to happen, man. I really wasn't. Mainly because of the timing. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, we're going to start the show with things I'm a little bit more comfortable with. Wrestling, sports. And the first thing I want to jump into as quickly as humanly possible. What's up, Ice Cream Birdie? Good to see you. And I just kind of want to get through it, is the baseball stuff. Baseball is the sport I love more than anything else. It is my favorite thing in the whole world when it comes to sporting. Everything else has lost interest to me. And it's because it's been a while since baseball's had a really big scandal or rule changes or anything that's kind of taken away from what baseball does. The last, 5-6 years, the biggest discussions about the game has been how to speed it up. I don't give a fuck if it's ever sped up. I enjoy the game for what it is. But last time baseball had a big scandal, no, I'm not talking about steroids either. Steroids really didn't hurt the game. It helped the game. They really did. You would say what you want about it afterwards, about some of the things with Congress. That didn't take away from anything. But what hurt the game was the strike, the crazy-ass strike before the big steroid juice and all that type of stuff. Thank you, Aeon, for the host. So now we're confronted with a new cheating scandal. A cheating scandal that I don't think anybody was really expecting. If you don't know, one of the unwritten rules of baseball, or even a written rule of baseball, is, when it comes to sign stealing and things of that nature, it's done on the diamond and it's kind of accepted for what it is. It's not really all that big of a deal. You don't want to make it too blatant, but if you can see what's going on in between the catcher's legs and you can relay the details to your hitter, well, then you do that. But electronics in baseball has always been poo-pooed upon. It's been frowned upon. Not something that people like to do, especially, the funny thing is, with what happened with football, and Spygate, a story with the New England Patriots that became so big that it actually went to fucking Congress and the Senate and shit. I think it was just the Senate. But it was a big deal, and it's led this huge divide over, are the Patriots legitimate in what they did? Is filming stuff a big deal? How much information can you get from using electrical equipment and electronics and all that stuff to capture, people's mannerisms, signs? Well, it turns out quite a bit, man, because if you're able, especially in game, to use telescopic lenses and real-time monitors to see what is happening in the opposing team's dugout. You can see what's happening with the catchers. You can see those signs. It is an unfair advantage because in baseball, tendencies, it's all part of the game. It's so important. Knowledge is power in baseball. Things are so difficult as it is when it comes to hitting a curveball or knowing where movement's coming on a fastball. If you know location before the pitch is thrown, if you know where the defense is going to be rotating towards, you just have so much more power as a hitter. You have so much more ability to do a lot more things. So finding out that not only a team that has been, almost dynasty-esque over the last 4 or 5 years, the Houston Astros, not only have they been using this stuff, but they used it during their big championship run in 2017. I think this disappointed a lot of people. Now, if you don't know what happened, this isn't just like a leak that came out from somebody. So Mike Fiers was a pitcher for Houston. And I've actually come to terms with this a little bit in a couple different ways as well. Mike Fiers was a pitcher during that 2017 run. He then left. I think he went to the Angels. And during that time, he decided that he was going to go and turncoat. And he told everybody who would listen. He went to Major League Baseball and he let them know what happened. And now, after investigation for, well over a year, they've determined that the Houston Astros absolutely did have an unfair advantage, that they were using this technology to cheat in a really, really big, advantageous way. And now there's fallout, big-time fallout that we haven't seen in Major League Baseball in a very fucking long time. In a very long time. And it has now affected 3 coaches. 3 coaches, man. So it affected the head coach, or the manager, of the Astros, which who gives a fuck about that? He was the most guilty party. But now it's also affected 2 of the biggest franchises in baseball. And not just from the beginning. And this is kind of crazy. It's not just like altering the franchises in a meaningful, historic way. No, we're talking right now in the last few years, the last couple of years with Boston and New York being ousted from the playoffs by Houston. I think both teams have been ousted, or at least beaten up pretty good by Houston, where you could say it has affected them in their playoff runs. And then, of course, with the managers, Alex Cora of the Boston Red Sox, who looked like he was definitely going to continue to be a very good manager in Boston for a long time, and a newly appointed manager for the New York Mets. So this affects it affects 2 New York teams, and then the Boston squad as well. So it's just absolutely dumbfounding. I can't remember the last time something of this scope and magnitude happened in baseball. In sports in general, this is a kind of a big deal that's going to alter all 3 of these franchises going forward: Houston, Boston, and the Mets. It's pretty insane. Now, we're going to gloss over what happened to the Yankees, because the reality is, even if the Yankees don't get cheated in a way by Houston, we don't know if New York's going to go on to win the World Series. So I think the Dodgers has a little bit more of a fucking a case here as far as being directly hosed out of a championship. And you, Darvish, of my Chicago Cubs, and a whole bunch of other players are like starting to say, why the fuck have not we been awarded the World Series title for 2017? And they bring up a good point, and I don't know how I feel about it. The fact is, even with technology aiding, you still got to be able to go and do on the field. You've got to produce. You've got to make it happen. And Houston did. They did. Look, we're not going to sit here and argue over the fact we know Houston was a damn good team. Houston still is a damn good team. But I have a real big, strong thing when it comes to cheating in sports, man. It's so distasteful to me. It's really gross, and I'm not a big fan of it. So I think that it's fair that all 3 managers that were dismissed, have been dismissed. Beltran, I feel a little bit bad for, because I think he was going to have a nice career with the Mets, and now that is completely blown up. Cora, it really sucks as well. I don't know how you bring any of these guys back in a managerial role. The Beltran one is a little bit weird because he was not punished by Major League Baseball. Everybody else was, but Beltran was not. But this is the New York media, man. This is the New York media. No, Joe, not right now. At the end of the show, if you stick around, I'm not going to interrupt my show so you can rant about the fucking Yankees. I don't care. This show's not about Joe Martin. It's about Dead on Dave. Wait till the end of the show, motherfucker. All right, dog. Jesus, see, this is what irritates me. Now you've fucking thrown off my flow, dickface. Thrown off my goddamn momentum. What's the matter with you? I don't care about the Yankees. Fuck the Yankees. How about that? Fuck them. Fuck them in their ear. Fuck them. Fuck them. There you go. But it's kind of a crazy thing. We're talking about New York media, and that's a big, big deal. With the Mets in particular, this is a franchise that over the last few years really, really has just cowed down to pressure. And they took some criticism, and they decided to fire Carlos Beltran. So that's the big one. So, all right. I wanted to just get through the baseball stuff. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I want to get through a couple more topics, then we're going to get to the big stuff of the day, which is Onision, Hansen, and MrRepzion. Big stuff there. And then we'll take some calls, and we'll get out of here. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Beer chugs are also in play as well. Everything that we typically do here on Twitch, still in play. Let's stick to sports for a moment and go to the NFL, the National Foosball League, where something so funny happened over the weekend. I'm shocked to see that something has really transpired from this. So over the weekend at the national championship game, Odell Beckham Jr. was there, and we heard all these stories about how he went out and, he was tossing money to the crowd and stuff or not to the crowd, to the actual players, giving real ducats. What we didn't know is that an arrest warrant would be issued, and I think this was in Louisiana, arrest warrant would be issued because during the celebration, and there is plenty of videos out on Twitter about it, he spanked a cop. Odell spanked the cop. Now, Odell was already going to get in trouble, because he handed money to college students, and although the rules are changing in the NCAA, and these kids are finally going to start getting paid. It hasn't been into effect yet. This could be considered boosting and all kinds of other stuff. It's a slippery slope, and I think it's all stupid anyway. The NCAA is a fucking cartel. It drives me goddamn crazy. But anyway, regardless, Odell, in the middle of all this conversation, there was cops in the locker room, and I'm not even 100% sure as to why they were there. But you can see in the video Odell giving a swift good game to a cop, and it did not sit well. So Odell has been issued an arrest warrant with simple battery, and he might actually get in some trouble over this. It's kind of one of the craziest things I've seen in a while. I'm kind of shocked that this actually happened, but it did, and the video is absolutely hysterical. If I was better at my job, you'd be seeing it right here, but the reality is it's all over. But here's the bottom line on it. You can't touch a cop. You can't touch a cop. You can't do it. You can't lay your hands on an officer. And even more so if you're a black athlete and they're a white cop. I don't know why you would think that this is a smart idea. You got money tossing around. This could have ended kind of tragically. I mean, you catch the wrong cop in the wrong day, this could have ended way worse. You got a locker room full of big fucking guys coming off of a very emotional football game. This could have been disastrous. So I think Odell, his behavior absolutely, it was a male cop, McCod. Odell's behavior absolutely needs to be looked at by the NFL. And I wouldn't be surprised if a suspension ended up happening over this just because of what could have happened. And I'm not trying to be the party pooper here. I get what it was all jovial and it wasn't supposed to be that big of a deal, but you cannot put your hands on a cop in any way. Hey, look, if you want to put your hands on his shoulder, that's no big deal. But you did a strike. Whether or not you feel it was just a pat on the ass, it's fucking irrelevant. It's a stupid thing to do at any time, but it's especially stupid to do in 2020. I just found it kind of interesting, so I wanted to touch on that for a moment as well. Moving into wrestling for a moment, I just want to get through these couple of little storylets coming out of AEW before we get to the Twitch story that I want to talk about in wrestling real quick. So Taz is officially signed with AEW on a multi-year contract, stating that looks like I've joined a revolution again. Well, Taz, the first one didn't work out for you, and I got a feeling the second one isn't either. Now, while this is becoming a big story, AEW has also signed a new deal with TNT, not only extending them to, I believe, 2023, but also creating a second show. The show that was on YouTube has now been brought over to, we don't know what day. We're expecting it to be Tuesday nights, and it's just going to be that same YouTube show, but expanded into a 1 hour televised. I just don't, I guess I'm confused by it, you know? It's like if AEW was really lighting the ratings on fire and they were just really kicking ass on it, and they had this, if they were pulling 1 million, you know, if they were consistently up there over 1 million, then I could understand this. But I don't understand why not just keep it on YouTube, where you can kind of help things grow, kind of like what I'm doing right now. Move my shit over to Twitch, but also at the same time continue to upload these clips and these full podcasts and such over to YouTube after the fact. It's just kind of, it's once again another situation where all the complaining about WWE, all the complaining about the standard status quo, and one of the big ones is oversaturation. Well, why are you going to do in the first fucking year of life, you're going to start oversaturating, bring on a second night of content? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Not when you have other outlets to do so. Hell, you could do it on a website if you want, kind of like the NWA does their stuff in conjunction with the YouTube. YouTube itself, it's a good tool. You could talk about the bias that YouTube has kind of shown against wrestling, but that is also kind of diminished a little bit, especially in the live programming. I think it's something that they absolutely could have used. YouTube's a big stomping ground for wrestling content, and if AEW's numbers are as strong as they want you to believe they are, and the fan base is there, YouTube's a fantastic proving ground for that. But at the end of the day, this is a TNT decision. If TNT decide that they want to invest in AEW, that's their mistake to regret later. And it's just kind of sad that after the things that happened with WCW, that we're not learning our lessons from it. You know, it's just, we're seeing the same things over and over. The one thing that I think all wrestling fans can agree on, whether you're WWE, whether you're AEW, whether you're Ring of Honor, there's too much wrestling right now. There are too many shows. There are too many things. There are too much just oversaturation. It's all over. You almost feel like the wrestling is soaking into your body. It's too much. And I think it's watering down the overall product. We're seeing these wrestlers so often, so frequently, their moves matter less. The kickouts matter less. Now they have to go to like these extreme gymnastic style presentations just to keep us going. Ooh, and this is awesome. It's bastardizing the product for me. It's making it almost impossible to watch. I haven't watched a full episode of any wrestling content in about a month. Since I've been back here in Germany, I haven't even watched a full episode of NXT. And NXT is my jam, my jizzle jam. I watch all of the highlights and all that, but I don't sit down through the shows anymore. It's just whatever I can kind of go through. It's exactly, Jade and everybody else in there. It's just an oversaturation of people tuning out. And everyone's wondering, like, why are numbers continuing to go down? Now we're in kind of the hot season of wrestling where there's not a lot of competition aside from what we just finished the last big sporting event. You know, the NCAA championship game. That's gone now. So this is when wrestling's supposed to open up on Monday nights and throughout the whole week. This is when shit should open up. You got a couple of months until baseball starts off. This is it. But we'll see how it goes. GunCannon says, you know who's been smart about how much they're on screen? New Japan. They actually cut a lot of U.S. shows from being televised, which is weird because 2 years ago, the U.S. expansion to New Japan was so important. We were hearing about this, how it was going to be the next big thing, how New Japan was going to really revolutionize and come on. I wonder what happened with that. Was it just deals that kind of fell off the table with some of the other companies? Is it have to do with Cody and all of them deciding to start their own entity and instead of continuing to build New Japan? Was there a knife slipped in the back? I think that's going to become an interesting story of what could have been down the line. And I know there's more talk now of New Japan and AEW working together. I still don't know if we're going to see a long-term partnership just because New Japan seems to be going back to their roots as far as Japanese wrestlers and the occasional American. We're still seeing some, but nowhere near as much. So it's very weird to me, and it's a little disappointing, to be honest. And I'm not rooting for AEW's demise. I'm not. I don't like the product, but I don't want anyone out on the streets. It hurt me. It hurt my soul to watch Diamond Dallas Page in the ring. As good as he looked, and he did. He looked amazing. He really did. I don't get it. I just don't get it. I still like just seeing him in there. He's 60 something. We're not talking about like how old is Diamond Dallas Page? I want to know. I'm fairly certain DDP is like 65. I'm pretty sure he's like between 60 and 60 fucking 5. How old is this motherfucker? Diamond Dallas Page. So I can't just type in DDP. What the fuck? All right, so he's 63. He's 63 years old. Holy shit. Man, that scares me to get into the ring at that age, man. It's a terrifying prospect. Your heart could just go. But DDP is a health nut, and he's in incredible condition. We all know that. But still, it scares me to see these guys get in the ring at that age. But we'll see what happens. So, moving on from that, I want to talk about, this is a rarity. Hold on, GunCannon, they probably saw that AEW was doing and said, no thanks, fuck your stuff up, not ours, exactly. However, New Japan realized the new entities coming into the North American market, and they were worried it would be a waste of their time and money. New Japan is full of brilliant people, both running the company and wrestling for the company. Well, remember, it wasn't all that long ago when that really wasn't the case. They had a major infrastructure change like 2-3 years ago, something like that. A whole bunch of people who were running the company kind of got ousted or left. It was part of that whole, I think it might have been even more recently than that. There was something that I think it was after the expansion kind of fell through. So Joe Martin, Jerry Lawler Hart, exactly. He looked good, but was moving slow as fuck because he's 63. He's 63. It doesn't matter how much fucking yoga you do. Those knee joints are still fucked. That back is still all, you're the Tin Man. You're the Tin Man. Oil can. You know? All right, moving to something you guys never hear me talk about much anymore, unless I'm talking about Tessa Blanchard and her repulsiveness. Whew. So, Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling had a move a while back that I think a lot of us really were excited about, just because of its proof of concept going into the Twitch and wrestling as a live streamed event. It was kind of exciting to see it done in a different way, and it actually kind of started because of Tommy Dreamer and House of Hardcore, to be completely honest. That's really who first got the first few big events on Twitch going, was Tommy Dreamer and House of Hardcore. Not a big shock that Tommy Dreamer would become part of Impact Wrestling and help kind of bridge that gap onto Twitch. Well, I don't know if it's already been repealed. I don't think it will be for a while. But Impact Wrestling is no longer on Twitch. They've been banned. They got the ban hammer hit right all over their goddamn head because, nudity. Nudity. Involving Rob Van Dam, of all people. So I want to read you what the story actually says. I'm waiting for it to load up. And this is from eWrestling News. So I just want to read it so I make sure I get the whole goddamn thing right. Impact Wrestling has apparently been banned from Twitch, according to a report from the streamer bans. Twitch banned Impact Wrestling on Wednesday night. According to Twitch's terms of services, they do not allow nudity and sexually explicit content or activities such as pornography, sexual acts, or intercourse, and sexual services. That's subjective as fuck, right? I mean, we could talk about a bunch of booby streamers that kind of don't listen to that shit, but whatever. For what it's worth, Impact Wrestling aired a segment on this week's broadcast that featured Rob Van Dam, Katie Forbes, and another woman, which featured blurred nudity, whipped cream, and an idea that they were having sex. That may be the reason for the ban. That's not maybe the reason for the fucking ban. That is the reason for the ban. Not only for the actual nudity, which was very poorly blurred out, apparently. I guess you could see nips and maybe even a little clam dip, depending on who you ask. but you can't have the applied sex. You can't have implied sex. You can't have that. It's so stupid. And Impact Wrestling seems to be wanting to be super edgy, super hardcore, super bloody, super whatever. It's like, let's push the envelope and piss everybody off. Sami Callihan seems to think that they're the one wrestling institution that's not afraid of anybody. They're the one group of people that are going to do the things they want to do and no one's going to talk them out of. Well, these are the consequences, asshole. Bash in some other people's heads if you want to, but this is some dumb shit to do on a platform that comes down on nudity as hard, especially when it's not just a regular old booby streamer. They're going to come down on your ass hard. It's just really, really dumb, and I can't believe that they did it, and we don't know how long the ban is for. It is the first ban, which is typically not a perma ban, but because this is kind of egregious, I wouldn't be surprised if it turned into a perma ban. Something a little bit longer. Wouldn't shock me one iota. All right, so that's the majority of things that I want to talk about in the sports world. Let me see what else I had in my notes before we get to the big stuff. Oh, I was going to talk about Disenchantment, but I'm not overly concerned with that right now. It's just a show that I'm watching I think you guys would enjoy. Let's talk about the big shit. All right, so first and foremost, let's get into the latest update on the whole situation with Chris Hansen and Onision. Now, if you haven't been following, your head's been under a rock. Chris Hansen showed up to Onision's house with a lawyer, by the way. A lawyer, the whole shebang. They were very smart about it. They really did seem to have their shit together. This was January 9th. It got leaked on like January 11th, and now the full, they're calling it the wrap-up. Hansen has put up on his channel To Catch a Predator, or or to Have a Seat with Chris Hansen, rather. It's over on his YouTube channel, and it explains kind of what happened. And basically, Greg had no clue that they were coming. In fact, for the past few weeks, Greg has been kind of pulling this I'm on the run and homeless type deal, saying they're living out of hotels. The rumors about Kai and him getting divorced, all of this stuff. Well, Hansen decided to do what he does best, and that's sometimes surprise motherfuckers. And let's see what's actually crack-a-lacking over there. And he goes and he finds out they're not in a hotel. They seem to be very comfortable at their house. And Kai's there. Not out of the house. Not separated. Everything seems to be perfectly fine, hunky-dory. He also talks about the paranoia of Onision. Apparently, Onision has cameras, at least 6 cameras set up outside and around his house. Seems to be full-blown paranoia on a Manson scale. You can't have regular people standing out there because you don't want to give your cult away completely, but you can have cameras out there, and that's exactly what he's doing, making sure that he can see everything that's going on at all times. And this isn't like the regular security cameras. Apparently, this is like set up perimeter type shit. It's very weird, very confusing, but not if you're a psychopath, which Onision really seems to be treading down that path of desperation, and that comes even more apparent in a few minutes. So Hansen goes there. He talks to the sheriff's department, who Onision called, which we've already talked about. The audio clips are out there. And by the way, they're fucking gold. You've got to go listen to Hansen, or Onision rather, calling 911 and trying to explain these YouTube stalkers. And when the lady asks for the name and he says, it's Chris Hansen, I might make that a GIF or a sound effect, because it's Chris Hansen. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was just so funny to hear him say that, because the noose is tightening. Let's be honest here, and this seemed to have freaked him out quite a bit. He was not happy about it, obviously, and tries to play full victim card here. There's no stalking going on, by the way. There's nothing going on here. There's nothing more to the story other than what we've seen. Because Hansen's smart. He recorded everything. He talks about everything they talked about to the sheriff's department. He had the lawyer from Detroit there. Everything was hunky-dory. And quite surprising just how poorly it went. I don't understand why Greg, being the whore that he is, wouldn't just talk to Chris Hansen. If there's nothing, I also get why he wouldn't, because he's probably incredibly guilty of something that is going to come out, and he's freaking out about it. But to kind of do this pussified shit the way that he did and call 911 and make this a bigger deal than it needed to be, I don't think it helps him. I don't think it helps him. I don't think he gets sympathy from this. He can't use his kids as a shield in this situation because of all the things that he's done with kids in the present. You know, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me why this would be the move and why continue to drag this out. Well, it makes a little bit more sense today. So not shockingly, Onision has filed a civil lawsuit in the state of Washington against Chris Hansen. That's not the shocking part. I mean, this seems like a complete Onision move. It also does punch holes into his whole I'm poor, they're ruining me narrative, because going to court anywhere is not cheap. Going to court in Washington is really not cheap. Okay? So, especially for a case that you're probably going to lose. We don't know what the civil lawsuit is against Hansen, but I'm assuming because in the court documents, which, by the way, Tommy did a really good job of posting all the things that they could find on public record, it shows that the children are listed in there as well, which seems to be a big deal. I'm pretty sure he's going to be try to sue for some sort of endangerment or something of that along those lines, if I had to guess, because the kid's being involved. Defamation, endangerment, something along those lines. Not exactly sure what it's going to be, but that's what I'm figuring. The timing of that one makes complete sense. Because of what just happened, him going and trying to turn this into a civil matter, and more than likely trying to file some sort of restraining order, which he probably will not get. This is, again, not going to help his cause, not going to garner him any sympathy. And when he gets crushed in court by a much more prepared Chris Hansen, it's not going to look good for him. And he might have to answer some questions that he ain't ready to answer, too. I don't think he thought this out, and I'd still be surprised. And apparently, this lawsuit will be going to trial on the 24th of this month. So we're going to find out pretty fucking soon what's going on. So that's going to be very interesting. Now, the shocking bit to me, and I think to a lot of people, and especially to MrRepzion, is that Onision has finally followed through with his threats to sue Repzion. This one makes absolutely no sense to me. Repzion's never gone to his house. Thank you, Old School Matt, for the host. Repzion has never made any threats against him. Repzion has always walked the line of everything almost perfectly. His stuff is always in fair use. He's gotten Greg to back down at every turn. It's never gone anywhere close to this. But at the same time that he filed the civil lawsuit against Hansen, he has also filed a civil lawsuit against Repzion. And this is a problem for Repzion. Repzion is putting up a GoFundMe to help cover his legal fees because, like I said, this ain't going to be cheap to defend yourself. And I hope countersue, because I'm assuming with this one, now the kids are not listed in this lawsuit. This is just Greg and Kai versus Repzion. Now, what I'm expecting this to be is defamation. I'm expecting it to be full-blown defamation. He's going to try to go after him, that he took his career away. He's been banned off of Twitch now. He's been banned off of all the platforms except for YouTube, which Hansen seems to, based off the interview he just did with Jacqueline Glenn, this seems to have pissed him off again. Like Hansen, if everyone's talking about Hansen's reasons for being here and his reasons for taking this personally, it's obvious to me that he takes this personally because of the fact that he cannot get anything monetized. He has to watch every fucking word that he says. Yet once again, YouTube stands by this guy who has wiped his fucking ass with the terms of services. Wipes his ass daily with YouTube's terms of services in every way fucking conceivable. And if Copa would have been in establishment a few years ago, I don't know how fucking regulations wouldn't have hit Onision long before all this. You know what I mean? It's one of those type of situations where this is cut and dry, and yet YouTube never does anything about it. I don't know if it's just because he's a meme. I don't know if it's just because he's dead channel. I don't know what it is. There's rumors that he knows people at YouTube that has kind of kept him off the radar, but yet at the same time, there's all these rumors that the reason why his channels have died is because his channels have been kind of curtailed by YouTube. It doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you're going to shut off the viewership to his channels, why not shut off the monetization? Why not shut off his income source? Everybody else has, but YouTube is still allowing him to traipse about on the platform, no matter what has come up about him, no matter how many times he's abused the copyright system. It has not mattered. Maybe it's subjective as far as the content goes. Maybe we can have a conversation. Maybe we can have a seat and have a conversation about the content. Maybe it's more subjective than some of us want to admit sometimes, and that's totally okay. Art is weird, and maybe you can make the argument that he was an artist. Hell, Manson was an artist. Hitler was an artist. Why the fuck not, I'm a banana. Fuck it. I don't know. It's very strange to me. But the terms of services is so much more cut and dry when it comes to the copyright stuff. He has abused the copyright system for years to bully and scare creators from making any content on him, even though everything, for the most part, has been fair use, especially with Repzion. I don't think Repzion's got one video that's going to be marked as unfair use or anything like that. He's going to... I don't know how Repzion doesn't wipe his ass with these documents in the court. He's going to walk this lawsuit, but it's going to cost money, and it's unfortunate. So once I know what the GoFundMe is for MrRepzion, I'm going to make sure I support that. I have no money to support it myself, but we'll definitely put it up there. Make sure you guys can see it. And if you can support Repzion on this is an important fight to fight. Now, this isn't FUPA. This isn't anything like that. This is a quick, hard fucking attack that Onision's trying to get done very quickly. Thank you, Fake, for the host. He's trying to get this in court as fast as humanly possible, and it is, because this is Washington. And he's going to be getting in there on the 24th, just like motherfucking Hansen. Both ways, they're both going to be doing the exact same thing, 24th. So it's going to be interesting to see who shows up, what representation's going to be there. It's going to be a goddamn circus. And I'm wondering if this is just another play by Onision out of desperation. This reeks of desperation. It's just, you can feel it. This is the last move. The timing on it, maybe the timing on the Hansen thing makes sense, but the timing for Repzion makes no sense to me. Repzion's not the only guy making content. And maybe it's some of the more effective content on Onision, but it's certainly not the only one. So to be able to file these in the state of Washington for this type of stuff makes no sense to me. It's very confusing, and it just baffles my mind. I don't know why anything Onision does anymore baffles my mind, but this one absolutely does. This one confuses me to my core because I just don't get it. Hansen's makes sense a little bit if you're Crazy Greg, but no matter how fucking crazy you are, to try and go after Repzion in what I'm expecting to be a defamation suit, how does he win this? Is there something that I'm missing? Does someone in the chat know something I don't? Because this is the one that I just don't get. Yeah, we already established the GoFundMe will be after the 24th. That's what I said. Once that comes up, that'll be up, and we'll make sure that we know where you guys can support it and all of that. Keep an eye on my Twitter because I've reached out to Repzion. He's being very tight-lipped. Hansen has made a couple media calls about this already, apparently. I read one article earlier. They also reached out to Repzion. Repzion is not saying anything. He's pretty smart about this. He knows the best thing he can do is shut the fuck up until it goes to court, which, again, is going to be very quick. It's going to be in 9 days. It's going, or 8 days, excuse me. It's going to court on the 24th, so this is going to be a very quick little thing. So we'll see how it goes. Question to you guys in the chat. Do you think Onision's got a snowball's chance in hell to win either of these? Keep in mind, if he does, it changes. It changes the game. If Onision's able to get a victory in court over Chris Hansen or Repzion, it really might change things on YouTube. It might change how people fight. It might change a lot of things. It kind of worries me. Because if it happens, I think this could be one of those transformative events. And we know Onision won't shut the fuck up about it. He will crow. He will use this to try and get back on all the platforms, get his monetization back. He will ruin Repzion. Hansen can probably absorb it, but Repzion, I mean, he's a working class guy now. He's a welder. Granted, his YouTube has made an amazing comeback. I'll tell you one thing's going to be for sure. I'm predicting next 6 months, Repzion will hit 1 million subs. He's over 700,000 now. There's going to be a whole hell of a lot of stories about this. Repzion's name's going to be on a lot of people's mouths. People who say that they stand for free speech on the internet and fair use and all that type of shit. There's nobody who can look at this subjectively and say that Repzion has done anything in a defaming way against Greg. Because if he has, the rest of us has. That's what scares me. That's what terrifies me. Because if Repzion, the rest of us are fucked. The rest of us are fucked. If he wins this, if this actually goes through, everybody else, we all make lesser content that I guarantee walks the line of defamation a whole hell of a lot more than Repzion's has. Repzion has based all of his arguments in facts, cold, hard fucking facts on the screen for you to see, using Onision's words, Onision's actions all the time. I do more opinion-based stuff. A lot of the other commentators who have done stuff on Onision over the years, more opinion-based stuff. A little bit more subjective, especially with me. I use comedy and things like that. So this could set a really nasty precedent. And this is a little bit different than the H3H3 one, because that was over fair use. This one doesn't seem to be over fair use. This one is probably going to be on defamation. The fair use stuff would have been done through the regular proceedings that we always see with copyright strikes. We know that's a procedure. This is filed in a civil court in Washington, filed completely different than what we would see on YouTube. So I don't think it has anything to do with fair use or FUPA or any of that shit. So maybe H3H3 catches wind, but because it's on more, like, again, I think it's going to be under defamation. That's what's going to make this a little bit different. And I think probably keep it off some people's radar. And defamation suits are ugly. And again, this is what fucking confuses me on Greg's behalf. I just don't understand the logic, because you're going to have to prove defamation. That means everything's going to be admissible in this trial. That means everything that Repzion, every video, any evidence that Repzion can produce that Greg is the way that he says that he is, it's all going to be open fucking public shit. And I guarantee the court documents will be open. This is not going to be a sealed case. I don't see that being the case here. This is going to be a fucking circus. Do you think Greg shows up? Does he pull this at the last minute? Was this the ultimate bluster move? Because even the filing of it kind of throws in the face of a lot of things that Onision has said that he is. He's broke. He's on the run, all this stuff. But you got the fucking money to file 2 civil lawsuits at the same goddamn time? Who's representing him? Himself? God, would that... Please, Lord, let him be that dumb. Oh, I will build a church in your honor, Lord, if he is that fucking stupid. It'd be absolutely amazing. Aeon, the Onision thing is going to be Greg versus the victims, FBI, Hansen, Repzion, if it gets that far in the courts. And that's another thing, because there's an ongoing investigation by the FBI, apparently, because now we've had victims who have said, alleged victims, that have said they've been contacted by the FBI. We know the FBI is investigating now, an open fucking investigation. This complicates it even more, because does that mean that what the FBI has come up with to this point, is that going to be called into the courts? Because that could lead to something else. We might find out a whole hell of a lot on the 24th. Now, my bet, because Onision is a fucking chicken-hearted guy at the end of the day, I think he's going to pull these lawsuits. I think he's kind of seeing where the support is. I think he wants to see what the public opinion's going to be going into it, and I think he's going to make a change right before. It doesn't take much to pull your lawsuit. It doesn't take much at all. I just got a feeling that's the way it's going to go, because this is so stupid. This is so dumb. And Matt brings up a really good point. My biggest fear is that when Onision is out of moves, he invites a bunch of supporters to his house and goes Waco. It's a scary fucking thing, because this guy is absolutely unhinged. He seems like he's lost the touch with reality for him to go and make this move at this time when, again, it feels like the noose is just tightening every week. It was a bold move by Hansen to go to his house. Not maybe a very unexpected move, but incredibly a bold one to do. So, yeah, thank you for letting me know I was AFK. I'm going to start bringing people into the Discord in just a few minutes. I'm about out of things to say on it, but I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think of the whole situation with Onision or anything else that we've talked about today. It's open phones. It's open Discord, whatever you guys have. But if I don't care, expect to be moved along pretty goddamn quickly. Mods, make sure you throw that Discord link in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate your faces. And now the show is yours from this point on. Let's see what we got going on. Larry the Cable Guy, you're live with that on Dave. What do you got? Thank you.
What is up, Dave?
What's up, man?
It is Joe Martin. How you doing, buddy?
Yes, I know your stupid voice. What do you want, Joe Martin? You're irritating me in the chat.
First off, whoa. How you been, buddy?
I don't care about how I've been. I talk about how I am all the fucking time. What do you got for me, Joe Martin? You pain in my dick?
All right, buddy.
I miss yelling at you. I have missed yelling at you. What do you got for me, Joe?
It's been a long time, dude. No, before you went on, I don't know if you've been seeing Twitter, but more and more shit came. Like, there's some woman tweeting saying she's Beltran's nephew, and she's saying that they were wearing buzzers on Altuve, and there's a picture of him on his shoulder, and when he hit the walk-off against Chapman, he's rounding third, and he's screaming, "Don't rip my fucking jersey off. Don't rip my jersey off."
I love that. Hey, man, if you're going to cheat, you go high-tech with that shit, man.
That is so gay, man. They have, like, it's beeps 2 times for a slider, like 1 time for a fastball.
That's commitment. You know what? Baseball is always...
They deserve the World Series.
Look, baseball has always been about cheating when you can get away with it. We know this to be true. It's a very true thing in baseball. Sign stealing is nothing new. It's just never done electronically. So how do you feel about, aside from being a Yankees fan, because you are a baseball guy, so I really want to know your opinion on this. So drop your Yankees fandom for a moment, because you guys got hosed, but so did other teams. No more so than the Dodgers, I would say. We can both agree with that. But the big question is, as a baseball guy, how do you feel about this? Is this like way out of bounds? Should we have learned the whole lesson from the New England Patriots, or what? And does this change the New England Patriots stance a little bit? Because this is pretty harsh sanctions, way harsher than the Patriots got. And that went to fucking Senate.
Yeah, well, I think it's 2 different sports. I think in football, I think it's way worse in football. I still to this day don't know how the Patriots still didn't get booty fucked. From
I think the difference with the football thing is that wasn't in game. They recorded stuff before the game, so they have an advantage. But as far as we know, did you just spit tobacco? Was that chaw? Are you a dipper?
No, I'm a little sick right now.
Okay, I thought you were dipping. I'm like, don't be that guy. But with baseball, with this, especially if the beeper thing, the buzzer, if that's true, oh boy,
that's on Twitter right now. It's raging right now. I think the Dodgers deserve the Dodgers. Even though I'm a Yankee fan, I don't know if we would have beat them. We probably would have beat them, but. I think you got to give it to the Dodgers, man. I don't like, even if this is true, because I'm also seeing a tweet now from a verified source saying that they went through like the thing on his shoulder and they found nothing, but they might open it up again. So I don't know. Who knows?
Well, it's gonna be hard to prove that from a couple of years ago, unless they could see something visible.
It was this year.
What's that?
It was this year. He had the beeper on.
Oh, it was this year he had the beeper. Chapman. Oh, that was this year.
He was rounding third base, and he was screaming, "Don't rip my jersey off." And then in the post-game interview, the guy was like, Michael K ripped Altuve. I hate Michael K, but I agree with you. He goes, "You just hit a walk-off in Game 6 to send your team to the World Series, and you're rounding third screaming, 'Don't rip my jersey off.'" And then he said in the interview, "My wife doesn't like it if they rip my shirt off."
Oh, whatever. Well, shit, we'll find out what happens there. That one's gonna be interesting to see if anything comes of it. I don't see much more come. These were harsh sanctions that came down. What do you feel about Beltran? What do you feel about Carlos Beltran losing his job with the Mets, man?
I have a lot of Met fans. I told them all day today. I mean, his punishment should have just been managing the Mets. I mean, I would have loved to see how that played out because God help his soul. He would have been.
The Mets almost made the playoffs last year, man. I went to. Did you see? I went to the Mets Cubs series in the summer. This year?
I did see that.
I got molested by Mr.
Right?
Met.
Yeah, he touched.
He touched my man titty. Yes, he did.
City Field's so beautiful. It's a bad neighborhood though, but
yeah, we walked it too, right? We parked about 4 or 5 blocks away. It was under an overpass as well, and we fucking walked it. I was with like a 6'7" Indian man, so it was okay. I was like with the Great Khali.
Yeah, Alonso's a beast, man. That dude's an animal.
We won that game like 10-6, and we swept the series too, which was nice. And that was the last good thing the Cubs did this year.
Yeah, well, all right, Dave. Well, it was nice talking to you, man. Hopefully I can talk to you before the Rumble if you're going to say anything on that.
Well, yeah, I'm going to do some Rumble stuff, and I'm definitely going to be live for the Rumble more than likely here. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you for taking me yelling at you in stride. As always, Joe Martin, have yourself a good day, buddy.
All right, you too, man. Be good.
Take it easy. Joe Martin, everybody. OG, man. That's an OG brother right there. And speaking of OG brothers, let's talk about the oldest of the school, the oldest of the G's, Mr. Old School, Matt, who's joining us right now. What's going on, you albino fuck? Mate. Oh, you busted. You right bastard. What a motherfucker. You're fucking my show up, Old School Matt. Old School Matt, you're live with Dead on Dave. What do you got?
Honestly, I don't see why.
Hold on. Oh, my God. My megaphone. All right, go ahead.
Honestly, I'm surprised Onision is going after Repzion for defamation of all things.
Well, we don't know if it's defamation. We don't know what it is. I'm putting in my own spin there because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. What else could it be? It's not going to be fair use. It's not going to be copyright because that's done through a completely different way through YouTube, and we've seen him do stuff like that and then bitch out on the court stuff like that. So I'm assuming that it's defamation.
Honestly, other than that, I could have seen it been harassment at some point.
Well, harassment, online harassment, perhaps. What is up with your fucking... Are you on a phone? What are you on?
I'm using a new headset.
Yeah, it's real... Take it back to the store. It's fucking trash.
Hold on a sec.
I hope you didn't pay too much on it, man.
Anyways, is this better?
Yeah, it's way better. Oh, my God. It's like night and day.
All right. Like I was saying, I could see Chris Hansen, Onision for harassment just based on all the videos, all the stories, and everything he assumes Repzion has done him.
But it's going to get disproven very quickly. And I think the FBI looking into it is what's going to just nail him to the wall. There's an investigation going on. We know that there is now because victims are saying that the FBI has contacted them, unless they're lying, which I doubt.
True.
I don't get the harassment. I really don't. I don't know. It's very confusing to me. I'm thinking because he listed the children as part of the lawsuit that it's going to be like endangerment or something of that nature, which he's going to lose that very easily too. Hansen brought a fucking lawyer with him. You know what I mean? It's just like he did this 100% correctly.
And to be fair, Chris Hansen always takes a lawyer with him.
Because he's smart.
Yeah, Chris Hansen is honestly the smartest person involved in this entire situation. And Onision needs to remember, Onision has network connections. So if Onion Boy doesn't watch his step, he can vanish.
Well, I don't know if any of that's going to happen. And this is just because of Greg's paranoia and everything like that. But the bigger thing to me is why the Hansen thing was so bold when he knocked on his door. We know what happened the last time Chris Hansen knocked on someone's door. Poof! It didn't end well. It didn't fucking end well. So it's a very scary thing for him to do again. But, I mean, this kind of goes to show you can't live your life off of them. I'm not even going to call it a mistake. I don't think – look, Hansen's always trapped people. This time he went to the guy's fucking house, and it didn't work very well. But in this situation, this has been years since that happened, he felt secure enough to be able to do it, but he brought more people with him. I wouldn't be surprised if he even let the authorities know that he was going beforehand, because the sheriffs, according to Hansen and the lawyer, the sheriff's department were not shocked. They seemed to understand this stuff was coming. You know, they knew all the allegations against Onision already. So I'm just wondering how far the investigation with the FBI has come and if that's part of it.
And for me, I think it's the funniest thing for someone to call the cops and explain to them, Chris Hansen's at my house.
Why is Chris Hansen at your house? I don't want to talk about that.
That's just fucking comedy does not write itself that easily.
That's so good. That moment when he says Chris Hansen, it's one of my favorite things ever. It's really good. Aeon says what Onision is trying to do is keep his charges out of federal. He wants to keep it civil because if it stays in civil charges, it won't be as horrible if it was in a federal case. I think I think he's doing collateral damage. Well, the problem is the FBI investigation is already going on. So if the FBI investigation is already going on, if we are correct that it's already happened, that this is in progress and they have talked to victims, they're going to be able to subpoena that. They're going to be able to bring that. And I know just enough about law. I wanted to be a lawyer for about 4 years when I was a kid. My last couple of years of high school and the first 2 years I was in the Army. I did do some classes and things but I mean, I'm no expert by any fucking stretch. And I did a little bit of research into it. But the thing is, if this is a civil suit, which is completely different than any other form. This is mano a mano, and it's typically always about monetary losses. And we have to remember that as well. So I'm figuring both of these cases are going to have something to do with loss of income, loss of wages, and probably Hansen is going to have some sort of harassment in there as well. But if there is any truth and validity to the FBI investigation, they're going to have to ask the FBI what they know. And if the FBI feels that they can release some of it, they're going to. Because they can't let this, like, a precedent can't be set in civil court that can affect the FBI case. They're not going to allow that to happen. Hansen knows this. Hansen's apparently talked to the FBI. So I think this just reeks of desperation, and it's one of the stupidest moves I think that Onision could have done.
And suing Hansen is one thing. You said it yourself. Hansen can absorb the blow.
Right.
Suing Repzion, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of him. And I think he's an awesome guy, but he can't absorb this like Hansen.
No, he's a welder. He's a welder who's trying to start a family, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? It's just like, go ahead.
Do you think Hansen would help him out with?
I wouldn't be surprised. Repzion was one of the first guys that went on Have a Seat. He was a great guest. He was fantastic. That was one of my favorite shows that Hansen's done. That was really good. Repzion killed it on that. Repzion's one of my better interviews too. I like him. I reached out to him and asked if I can help in any way, shape, or form. Because this is a fight I think that everybody needs to be involved in. This is one that we definitely should not be sitting on our hands and allowing just the process to play out. This is some fucked up shit. This is a guy who is absolutely overstepping in a big way, and now he's really going to affect people in a different situation. Aeon says the main issue is that Onision is trying to beat Hansen, but Onision is a fucking moron. He has no experience. Hansen has been in this business way too long. It's not only that, too. This kind of flies in the face of some of the allegations that Onision has made. Remember, Onision, according to him, he's getting a divorce. He's on the run. He's living out of hotels. Hansen has obliterated this just by going to his house. And I think it's the whole reason why he went, to see what's true, to separate fact from fiction. And there is absolutely no way that you can prove harassment based off of what we've seen. I said it on Tommy's show. This is a 6-month investigation that Hansen has not rushed. He's brought in everybody that would talk about it. The only person he hasn't talked to is Billy the fucking Fridge. And Billy wants to talk to Hansen. And that could be really bad for Onision, because if anybody knows where the bodies are buried, it's probably Billy the fucking Fridge.
And it's like I said, once all this runs its course, I'm afraid what he's going to do to people.
Yeah, no, I believe he's a cult leader. I do. I believe he's an absolute psychopath, sociopathic tendencies, detached from reality. I think he's fucking gone, and he's got a hold on people. And the way that the lawyer in Hansen talked, and especially the way Jacqueline Glenn talked, on this week's episode of Have a Seat. I just watched that this afternoon, too. She painted a really haunting picture because the way that she would describe the interaction, the way that Greg talks to women in particular, God, I just felt, it's like, man, this sounds like Manson shit. The manipulation, the this for that, the quid pro quo, the if you be quiet, I'll give you $100. You know, these type of things. It just felt very Manson-ish to me. It just the terminology, it was kind of freaky.
For me, I stand by it. It feels more Waco-ish.
No, I know where you're going with the Waco, because I think you're looking at a more violent end here as far as a standoff goes, and you might be very right on that. But I'm just talking from a cult leader perspective. He just has that creepy fucking Hansen vibe, or that Manson vibe, Hansen vibe. Bop. Go ahead. You got anything else for me, Matt?
No, I'm good.
That was an abrupt end of the conversation. Thank you, old Matt. I appreciate you, bud. Have a good day. He's so weird. Fake ass twat joining us today. What's going on, you housekeeping cholo? You're a fucking asshole. You're a fucking asshole, and I hate you. I hope that you get rectal bleeding tonight. I hope that you sit on a fucking Lego and it goes up your ass and forms with another Lego to make a gigantic Lego dildo. Do you know what a Lego dildo will feel like? It'll be blocky and cornery, and it's going to cut your fucking asshole into shreds, and you deserve it. Good night, sweet prince, you motherfucker. Was he trying to blow into my ear? Was he trying to blow right into my goddamn ear? What is wrong with that guy? What is wrong with fake-ass twat? I don't know. That's always a good question. All right. So, as always, the conversation kind of stems to you guys now. You guys get to make of it what you will. We said the things that I wanted to say today, and I think we did a good job of doing it. Once again, keeping it to right around an hour. So, if you missed part of this broadcast, now you only got about a day or so, and you can go ahead and watch it here on Twitch. But once I upload it to YouTube in 24 hours time, I will remove it from Twitch, and YouTube will be the only place that you can find that content. So thank you guys very much. And Fake, for that blowjob he just gave me, I want a goddamn thumbnail. I want a goddamn good thumbnail. You blow me in the chat, you fucking make me a thumbnail that I can put on the YouTube channel. Do some work, you dickhole. Hi as a kite. Guess who made Shopton Point News Team tonight? Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations. Yeah, I heard Tommy say something about that. Congrats. Here, have some licorice, you fucking weird shit. There you go. It's for you, buddy. Here's some of your goddamn licorice. There it is. I appreciate you guys. I might come back in a few minutes and do a little bit of shiny hunting, but even just saying that made me go, I don't know. I appreciate you. One thing, let me show this because Alicia has done something amazing that I'd like to share with all you guys. She's trying to help out. I don't hide anything from my kid. We're having a little bit of issues, so my daughter has decided, what can I do to help? Do you think people would want some of my art? And I told her, of course they would, because you're a fantastic artist. So Alicia is trying to get some art out to you guys. She made this wonderful painting here. This is a dual form Vulpix, of course, Alolan and Kanto Vulpix. It's fantastic. And we're going to give this painting to the high donator of the month, which right now is Carl G. 28 days left in that. And if anything, anybody who donates more than $40 or $50 this month, you're going to get a painting as well. So if you decide to support in the next month, you will get a painting as well. If you go over like $40, $50, something like that. We'll see how this ends up going. And this is also for my kids' confidence as well. So you'll get a sent, signed picture right to your door, painting right to your door from my kid. And if this is any indication of the quality that you're going to get, you're going to love it. Also, if you don't want Pokemon, if you want like Dragon Ball or something else anime, my kid already said she would do that as well. So just let us know. And we appreciate the support as always, guys. You're incredible. And thank you for all the kind words that you guys have said to her about her art. It's made her feel very, very good, and I appreciate you. So you guys have yourself a fantastic evening. Let's find somebody to raid. You want to see if we can find a talk show to raid before we get out of here? I think so. You know what? Screw it. Ace Trainer Liam. Let's go to him. Let's go to my boy. Let's go to my Manzikis. Let's go to my dude, my ace, my man. Ace. Oh, no, that's not the correct one. Ace Trainer Liam. Thank you guys very much. Have a good night. Keep it copious, folks. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Enjoy your evening, people. Peace. Raid, raid, raid. Oh, wait. We got to wait until the raid actually goes through. I got 7 more seconds. Shit. 4 more seconds. 3, 2. I'll cut this off the YouTube version. Good night, everybody. Peace.